The night had started like any other. I sat alone in the dim light of my living room, staring at my phone, waiting for a message or a call that never came. "Working late again," she had said, voice tired but convincing. I wanted to believe her, to trust that her words meant she was still the woman I married. But the silence stretched on, thick and heavy. For weeks, I had noticed the small things. Her phone lighting up in the middle of the night, hushed conversations when I entered the room, excuses that sounded rehearsed. My gut twisted into knots every time she said she was just busy. I told myself not to jump to conclusions, but the doubt gnawed at me like a slow poison. That night, the unease was unbearable. I decided to follow her, not out of anger, but because I needed answers. I watched from a distance as she drove away, the familiar route she always took to her office. But instead of the office, she pulled into a small hotel parking lot on the edge of town. My heart pounded as I parked a few spots away, trying to steady my breathing. I wasn't prepared for what came next. Through the hotel's glass doors, I saw her, laughing, close to a man I didn't know. The way she looked at him wasn't just casual. It was a look I hadn't seen in years, one that cut deeper than any blade. I wanted to turn away, to pretend I hadn't seen anything. But something inside me snapped. I walked inside, the sound of my footsteps loud in the quiet lobby. She didn't notice me at first, still smiling. Then her eyes met mine, and the smile faltered. I didn't yell. I didn't ask for explanations. I pulled an envelope from my jacket pocket, divorce papers I had prepared days before, hoping I wouldn't have to use them. I handed them to her silently, letting the weight of that moment hang between us. She looked shocked, maybe even scared. "Why?" she whispered. "Because I deserve the truth," I said, voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. She reached out, but I stepped back. The years of lies, the broken promises, the stolen nights, it all crashed down. I turned and left the hotel, feeling hollow but free for the first time in months. Outside, the cold night air hit me like a slap. I wasn't just ending a marriage. I was reclaiming my life. And whatever came next, I was ready. The cold air outside the hotel hit me harder than I expected, but I kept walking, each step heavier than the last. I didn't look back. Her voice, barely a whisper in the lobby, still echoed in my mind. Why? The answer was simple, but it carried years of pain. I deserved the truth. And tonight, I finally found it. When I got to my car, my hands trembled, not from the cold, but from everything I was holding inside. I sat there for a long moment, staring at the divorce papers I had given her. They felt heavier now, like a final farewell to the life we once shared. But this wasn't just about ending things. It was about starting over. The drive home was quiet, the streets empty, but my mind was anything but. I replayed every late night she claimed to be working, every excuse that didn't quite add up. I thought about the little signs I had ignored, the sudden need for privacy, the secretive phone calls, the way she would flinch if I asked too many questions. At home, my phone buzzed relentlessly. Calls from friends, family, even coworkers. Some were concerned, others confused. I ignored them all. This was my battle now, and I needed space to think. That night, sleep didn't come. Instead, I stared at the ceiling, wrestling with the betrayal that cut deeper than I thought possible. I kept asking myself, how did it get this far? When did the woman I loved become a stranger hiding secrets? The next morning, I was a different person. The shock had faded, replaced by a burning determination. I wasn't going to be the victim anymore. I needed to understand everything. Why she lied, who this man was, and how deep the betrayal ran. I started with her phone, the device that held so many answers. Carefully, I sifted through messages, calls, and hidden apps she thought I'd never find. Each discovery was a new wound. The late-night text to a number saved as work, the secret meetings she'd arranged, the expenses on our joint credit card I hadn't authorized. Her family was the next obstacle. When I reached out, hoping for clarity or support, I was met with cold shoulders and accusations. They sided with her without hesitation, painting me as the jealous husband, the one causing trouble. Their rejection stung almost as much as the affair itself. But I refused to back down. I wasn't just fighting for myself. I was fighting for the truth. Every lie she told, every secret she kept, only fueled my resolve. Days turned into weeks as I dug deeper. I uncovered not only the affair, but also financial secrets she'd hidden, accounts drained, investments made without my knowledge. It was clear she wanted more than just to leave me. She wanted to ruin me. The betrayal was overwhelming, but so was my need for justice. I met with lawyers, gathered evidence, and prepared for the battle ahead. This was no longer just about heartbreak. It was about survival. Throughout it all, my emotions were a whirlwind. Anger flared, tears fell, and moments of doubt crept in. But beneath it all, a quiet strength grew. I realized that this pain was shaping me, preparing me for the fight to come. One night, as I sat alone, surrounded by papers and evidence, a message popped up on my phone. From an unknown number. It was a photo of her and that man, smiling in a place I never expected. Along with the picture came a text. "There's more you don't know." That message changed everything. The betrayal wasn't just about the affair or the lies. It was a secret waiting to be uncovered, one that would shake my world even further. I was ready to find out the truth, no matter how dark it might be. The photo on my phone haunted me long after I saw it. My wife, smiling with that man, the one I didn't know, at a small, unfamiliar place tagged in the message. But it wasn't just the photo. It was the words. "There's more you don't know." Those words echoed in my mind like a warning. I couldn't let it rest. I had to find out what else she was hiding. The next morning, I packed a bag and drove toward the town in the photo. It was a quiet place, far from the city's noise, a place where secrets could hide in plain sight. I parked a few blocks from the address and walked slowly, trying not to attract attention. I wasn't sure what I'd find, but I knew this was a turning point. I watched from across the street as she and the man entered a small, run-down house, the kind of place that told stories without words. I waited, heart pounding, listening carefully. Through a cracked window, I could hear their voices, low, urgent, and full of tension. She was confessing something heavy. I strained to catch the words, but only managed fragments. "You don't understand. It's not what you think." I was scared. It hit me then that this betrayal wasn't just about the affair. There was a whole hidden life I had never known. Layers of lies she'd been burying for years. I left before they noticed me, my mind racing. What was she hiding? Why had she lied for so long? The questions burned like fire in my chest, but I had no answers yet. Back home, I confronted her. I didn't yell or scream. Instead, I looked into her eyes, searching for the truth. She hesitated, then broke down, tears flowing like a dam breaking. She told me about a past I never knew. Fears, regrets, mistakes she thought would never come to light. But her story raised more questions than answers. She admitted the affair was real, but also that it was tied to something bigger, something she'd been trying to protect me from. I wanted to believe her, but trust had already cracked, and every word felt like walking on thin ice. Her family, meanwhile, had grown colder. They called me selfish, blinded by anger, unable to see the truth beneath the surface. They backed her completely, isolating me further. It was like I was the outsider in my own life. Despite everything, I refused to crumble. I kept digging, uncovering documents, emails, and phone records that revealed not only her betrayal, but a web of secrets involving money, manipulation, and long-buried family disputes. One night, as I sat surrounded by papers and cold coffee, I found something shocking. A hidden account, funds siphoned off for years, all linked to her secret lover. It was a calculated betrayal, and suddenly, the affair was just one piece of a much larger puzzle. I realized then that I wasn't just fighting to end a marriage. I was fighting to reclaim everything she had tried to steal from me. But just as I thought I had the upper hand, the story twisted again. I discovered an unexpected ally, someone close to her who was willing to tell the truth. Their testimony could change everything, exposing the full extent of the deception. I reached out carefully, building trust slowly, knowing one wrong move could push them away. They revealed hidden conversations, plans, and lies that shocked me to my core. The deeper I went, the more I understood that this betrayal wasn't just personal. It was tangled in family history, old wounds, and a fight for control I never saw coming. Through it all, I kept one goal in mind: to stand tall, uncover the truth, and take back my life. No matter how painful, no matter the cost. And just when I thought I was ready to face the final battle, another secret came crashing down, a twist that threatened to change everything again. But I was no longer afraid. This time, I was ready for whatever came next. The revelations from my mysterious ally changed everything. With new information in hand, I felt a surge of hope and dread all at once. The web of lies was deeper and darker than I imagined. This wasn't just a simple affair. It was a carefully plotted betrayal that involved family secrets and financial sabotage. I knew confronting her would be the hardest part. I arranged to meet her in a quiet cafe, far from prying eyes. When she arrived, the confident mask she usually wore was gone, replaced by uncertainty and guilt. I laid out everything I'd uncovered: the hidden accounts, the secret meetings, the manipulations. Her face paled with each revelation, but she said nothing. Instead, she began to tell me a story I never expected. A story about fear, control, and years of feeling trapped. She confessed that the man wasn't just a lover, but someone who had promised to help her escape a suffocating life she felt forced into. She said she'd made terrible choices, but part of her still wanted to protect me from the worst. I listened, torn between anger and pity. The truth was messy, and the lines between victim and villain blurred. But no matter her reasons, the damage was done. The trust that once held us together was shattered. After that meeting, things didn't get easier. Her family doubled down on their support for her, and I found myself isolated. They painted me as the bad guy, the jealous husband ruining everything. Even some of my closest friends began to question my side of the story. Yet, amid the chaos, I found an unexpected strength. I wasn't just fighting for justice. I was fighting to reclaim my identity. I started focusing on rebuilding my life piece by piece. I sought therapy, leaned on a few loyal friends, and worked on forgiving myself for the things I hadn't seen. But the battle wasn't over. The financial sabotage was real and dangerous. I discovered that our joint assets were in jeopardy, manipulated by her and her allies. It wasn't just personal betrayal anymore. It was a calculated attempt to destroy everything I'd worked for. I hired experts to trace the money, uncovering more than I expected. Secret accounts, forged documents, and suspicious transactions. The evidence was damning, but so was the cost. The legal fight ahead would be brutal. Then came another twist. A hidden piece of our past that neither of us had known. A secret about our families intertwined in ways that complicated everything. Suddenly, this wasn't just about us. It was about legacy, power, and long-buried grudges. I realized that to win, I had to think bigger than just our marriage. I had to expose the whole truth, no matter how messy or painful. With each discovery, I grew more determined. I wasn't just surviving. I was fighting to reclaim my life, my dignity, and my future. And as the final battle loomed, I knew one thing for sure. I would no longer be the man who trusted blindly. This time, I was the one in control. The fight that lay ahead was nothing like I'd ever imagined. The betrayal had spiraled into a tangled mess of family secrets, financial sabotage, and long-hidden grudges. I knew I had to be smart. This was no longer just about a broken marriage. It was a battle for my entire life. I spent countless hours with my lawyers, going over every piece of evidence I'd collected. The hidden accounts, the forged documents, the suspicious transactions. All of it painted a picture of a carefully orchestrated plan to ruin me. But I was ready. I had to be. The legal process was grueling. There were late-night calls, endless paperwork, and moments when I thought I couldn't go on. My wife fought back fiercely, using every trick in the book. Her family stood by her, trying to discredit me at every turn. It felt like I was up against not just her, but an entire army. Despite the pressure, I refused to back down. I reminded myself why I was fighting, not just for money or revenge, but for my dignity and future. Every court hearing, every negotiation was a step toward reclaiming control. Meanwhile, the personal toll was heavy. Friends distanced themselves, unsure which side to believe. I was isolated, often alone with my thoughts. But in those quiet moments, I found clarity. I realized that this pain, as deep as it was shaping me into someone stronger. One afternoon, during a particularly tense meeting with my legal team, I received a call that shook me to the core. My wife had made a move I never saw coming. She'd leaked false information to the press, trying to ruin my reputation before the case was even decided. The news spread quickly, painting me as the villain in a messy divorce scandal. It was a cruel twist, designed to break me. But instead of crumbling, I used it as fuel. I held a press conference, calmly telling my side of the story, refusing to be silenced. The public's opinion shifted. People saw the truth beneath the headlines. Support came from unexpected places: old friends, colleagues, even strangers who admired my strength. As the trial approached its climax, the tension was unbearable. But then, just when I thought the worst was behind me, the final twist landed like a punch. My wife revealed a secret about our past, something that threatened to change everything we thought we knew about our families. It was a bombshell that rocked the courtroom and left everyone speechless. But I was ready. I stood tall, facing the storm with everything I had. In that moment, I realized that this wasn't just a fight for justice. It was a fight for my own truth, and I was determined to win. No matter what came next, I knew one thing. I would never be the same man I was before. This battle had changed me forever, and I was finally free. The courtroom was tense, every eye locked on the unfolding drama. My wife's revelation about our family's past was a bombshell, a secret that none of us had expected. It was a tangled story of betrayal, hidden debts, and old grudges that spanned decades. The judge paused, allowing the weight of the moment to settle. I sat there, heart pounding, knowing this was more than just a legal battle. It was the final chapter of a story that had consumed my life. But this time, I wasn't the man crushed by betrayal. I was the one holding the truth. As the evidence unfolded, the lies my wife had told began to unravel. The financial sabotage, the affair, the hidden schemes, it all came to light. Witnesses I had gathered stepped forward, their testimonies painting a clear picture of deception and manipulation. Her family's support faltered as the truth emerged, revealing cracks in their once solid front. I saw the disbelief in their eyes, the realization that they had backed the wrong side. Despite the chaos, I kept my composure. I spoke when needed, sharing my side with calm conviction. Every word was a step toward reclaiming my life and dignity. Outside the courtroom, the media buzzed, eager for updates. But I chose silence, focusing on the people who mattered, those who believed in me and my story. Days turned into weeks, and finally, the judge delivered the verdict. Justice was served, not in the way I expected, but in a way that felt right. The court recognized the betrayal and awarded me the control and compensation I deserved. But the victory was bittersweet. The scars ran deep, and some wounds couldn't be healed by a judge's ruling. After the trial, I took time to reflect. The pain, the twists, the heartbreak, they had all shaped me. I learned that strength wasn't just about fighting back. It was about letting go, forgiving, and moving forward. I started rebuilding my life piece by piece. I focused on my passions, reconnected with friends I'd lost, and worked on healing the parts of me broken by betrayal. Sometimes I wondered what might have been if things had been different. But those thoughts no longer controlled me. The divorce papers I once handed her weren't just an end. They were the beginning of my real life. A life where I was free, in control, and ready for whatever came next. And as I stepped into that new chapter, I knew one thing for sure. No matter the pain, no matter the twists, I had the power to write my own story.